Hello students, today's lesson we will be doing on perimeter with missing lengths and then moving on to compound shapes. Now real life links are very similar to what we've been doing over the last 2 or 3 lessons, and our keywords are also the same. Now if you have a look at this big question here, remember this does not count towards the images that you have to take and upload to your class charts. This is just further practice for you guys to do at the end of the lesson once you've done the main activity. Okay, now to start off, I want you guys to have a look at the 3 shapes in the teacher examples. Now I can completely understand there's a lot going on here. I will go through the top half and then I will ask you guys to do the bottom half as a practice or a warm-up, because this is continuing on from last lesson, which we started on perimeter. Now the first question, if you have a look, there is a triangle. It is a right angle triangle and we have been given 2 of the sides. Okay, one of the sides is 8 centimeters, the long diagonal side is 10 centimeters, and there's a missing side which we're calling X for the time being. The other information we've been given is that the perimeter is 25 centimeters, so the total of that triangle is 25. So basically, in other words, you need to work out what the missing length is. And the way to do that is we need to first of all add together the 2 sides that we have. Okay, so that's 10 plus 8, which equals 18, and then we can subtract that from the total. Okay, so 10 plus 8 is 18, and we know the total is 25 centimeters. It's told us that at the start of the question. So we're just simply doing 25 subtract 18, and that equals 7, and therefore our answer X will equal 7 centimeters. It's as simple as that. Moving on to the second shape, there's slightly one more step to do, and the reason being is because this is a rectangle and we have only got one side. Now because we know the top is 5 centimeters, therefore the bottom must also be 5 centimeters as well. And now that we know that, we can say 5 plus 5 equals 10. And we know that the total is 16 centimeters. So we can do 16, take away the 10 that we've just worked out, and that equals 6. Now, the reason why, if you look at step 3, it says 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Why is that? It's because the X on this side, on the left side, is the same as the other side, which is also going to be X as well. So we know that those 2 sides together make 6, so we must halve them. We must divide them by 2, and once you've done that, you should have an answer of X equals 3. Okay, that was a rectangle. So we've done triangle, we've done rectangle. Now finally moving on to square. This one's a bit of a tricky one when you look at it initially. We only have one X and we've been told the perimeter equals 60 centimeters. Now with this, we need to use our knowledge on shapes, namely on a square. So what do we know about squares? We know that there are 4 right angles. We know that all the sides are the same length as well. Now that's the key part here. Because we know all of the sides are the same length, we can say all of those sides are also X. So the left side, the right side, and the bottom are also X, and we know they're the same size. So if we know they're all the same and they all add up to 60, we can just simply do 4x equals 60, and therefore we can just divide it by 4, and that will give us 15, and each side must be 15 centimeters. And if you think about it, if they're all 15, we do 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15, and that equals 60 centimeters. Now, what I want you guys to do here, you've been given very similar shapes below, and you have been given the perimeter for each shape. What your job is to do now is pause the video, have a go at those 3 questions, model them how I have, and let's see what you get. Okay, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so the answers that we should have got for the first one, it should have been 5 centimeters. Second one would have been 26 centimeters. And finally, the last one, X would have equaled 5 centimeters. 20 divided by 4 equals 5 centimeters. These 2 are trickier exam style questions, very similar to ones that we've just done, but I'm going to break them down. Well, I'm going to break one of them down a bit further, and then you're going to do one slightly different, but also similar at the same time. You just need to understand what the question's asking you. So the length of a rectangle is 13.6 centimeters. The perimeter is 37.8 centimeters. Calculate the width of the rectangle. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add the two 13.6s, so the top and the bottom, which hasn't been given to us. You can either add them or times them by 2. It's the same thing. Now 13.6 times 2 is 27.2. Now that we know that the top and the bottom add to 27.2, we can take them away from the total. So we can do 37.8, which we were told was the perimeter, subtract 27.2, and that will leave us with 10.6. Now that 10.6 is being shared by the width on the right side and the left. Okay, it's being shared by both sides. So now what we have to do is divide it by 2. So we've got 10.6 divided by 2 equals 5.3. And therefore our answer would be 5.3. Now I want you guys to pause the video. You're going to model it. There should be 3 steps at least. You're going to model it and answer it, the question on the right, the way I've done the example on the left. So pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so we should have answered that by now, and this is what we should have got. So first of all, that's identifying the long side. Now we can say 5 plus 5 equals 10. 17 take away 10 is equals 7. And then we're dividing that 7 by 2, and that would be 3.5 centimeters. So the length of the short side would be 3.5 centimeters. Now, moving on. What is a compound shape? Okay, what we need to do here is understand, first of all, what is a compound shape. If you look here, we've got 2 rectangles, and when you join them together, that has created a kind of like an L sort of shape, and that is an example of a compound shape. We could have other examples where you have a triangle and a square joined together. You know, the shape of a house is a compound shape, actually. There's loads of examples of compound shapes. It's simply when you have 2 shapes which are joined together to create another shape. Okay, now imagine I asked you guys to work at the perimeter of this shape. Nice and easy, straightforward. All you would be doing is adding all the sides together, and that would give you your straightforward. How about if there are missing lengths though? Now with this question here, we have 1 missing length, and the easiest way to find if there are any missing lengths you need to find is because you have to count how many sides this shape has. So we can see straight away as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Therefore, there must be 6 different measurements. And if you look carefully, one of them is missing. Yep, it's the one at the bottom. And there's 2 ways you can do this. We can either, in this case, we can count the squares and add them together and see what we get. Or if you look across the top, what are the 2 horizontal lines across the top? The first one is 3 centimeters and the other horizontal line is 4, and if you add those together you would get 7 centimeters. And simply now all we have to do is just add all of those together, and that would have equaled 26 centimeters. Now now with this example, I want you to look carefully. It's a very similar shape. It's also an L sort of shape, and this time around we have 2 missing sides. And what I want us to do is focus on the 2 bullet points in it first of all. And the first one's asking us to highlight all the sides that are going in the same direction, and the smaller sides will always add up to the longest side, and I'll explain what that means shortly. So first of all, let's try to work out what A is. So if we know that this line here is A, we want to focus on the other vertical lines. The vertical lines are the ones going from up to down. So we have got here 5 centimeters and we have got 12 centimeters. Now if we focus on the second bullet point, it's saying the smaller sides should add up to the longest side. Now, is A one of our shorter sides, or is it the longest side? As you can see clearly, it is one of the shorter sides. So we know that 5 and A together will give us 12 centimeters. So we just simply going to do 12, take away the 5, and that will give us 7. So we can say A equals 7. And if you look now, the 2 lines, 5 and 7, they are the same. If you bring them close together, they will be the same as the 12 centimeter line. Okay, now we want to focus on B, so we need to focus on all the horizontal lines. So we've got 4 centimeters and 9 centimeters. Now, how will we find B? Just the same as with A, except these are horizontal lines. We're going to do 9 subtract 4. And that will give us 5 centimeters. So therefore, B must be 5 centimeters. And now that we've found the missing lengths, we can simply just add them together, and that would give us our perimeter, 42 centimeters. Okay? What I want you guys to do, depending on how easily you understood that question, I want you to try one of these. Okay, just one of these. So if you really struggled, I want you to try the blue shape. Yellow shape, if you kind of think you get it, and if you're very confident, I want you to try the purple shape. Okay, all it is the numbers are slightly difficult and the missing sides are a bit different. Okay, so pause the video, have a go at one of those now, and we'll come back together with the answers. Okay, so we should have answered that by now. And if you did the blue shape, you would have had 54 meters. The orange shape would have given you 42 centimeters. And finally, if you did purple, it should have been 14 centimeters in total. Okay, so this is our main task for today's lesson. And what I want you guys to focus on is based on how you understood my examples, as well as which question you picked and whether you got it right in the last activity. Now, in the last activity, if you got your question right, I want you guys to try 3 on red, 2 on amber, and 2 on green. If you struggled and you got your question wrong, I want you to try 4 on red, 3 on amber, and 2 on green. And if you are very confident with this topic and you think you know exactly what you're doing, I want you to try 3 on red, all 3 on amber, and all 4 on green. Now remember, with each of these, what you need to do is obviously have a title, main task, and the title of this lesson, which is perimeter, missing lengths, and compound shapes. And you need to draw each shape with a pencil and a ruler, and you're going to show your working out below. Okay, it's very important you show all the working and your final answer as the perimeter, and if you take a picture of that and upload it to ClassCharts, that will complete your learning for today's lesson. Any questions, as I said, you can simply message your teacher via ClassCharts or MathsWatch. If you're confused about something or you're not 100% sure, I would advise for you to do that. But other than that, that's today's lesson. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you, and see you in the next video.